Ahoy! I'm Steve Ward and I am half the Missouri Ozark Photo Guys. In addition to photography, I also like writing, which means I frequently write short columns about the places Mentor Mike and I visit around the Ozarks. Further, you probably like looking, so I thought I would combine the images we have taken with the words I have written, a kind of Andy Rooney or Charles Kuralt moment for those of you who are old enough to remember. The Missouri Ozarks is a beautiful region, and I hope my words and our images bring peace, joy, and thoughtfulness to your world. Today's place of inspiration is Newburg, Missouri. I've driven through Newburg, Missouri dozens of times. Even at a reduced speed, it doesn't take long to traverse the town, which sits next to the Little Piney River. If you're coming south off of Highway 44, the road will lead you past some churches, some bars, a cafe or two, the post office, and then a stop sign. It's hard to call this an intersection. Sure, you can go straight or turn left, but the main pavement and a giant black arrow printed on a giant yellow sign will point you right over the railroad tracks and right across the Little Piney River. Presto, you're out of town. It's not quite a blink and you'll miss it situation, but it is close. If so small, you might be wondering, why does the town exist? I'm sure people are always in the area because the stream is too good and the wildlife is too abundant for either Native Americans or early European settlers to have not been here. But the area became an official town in the late 1800s, thanks to the railroad. Newburg had a rail yard where they were able to maintain trains, move freight, and change crews. In other words, Newburg was an important stop on the Frisco Railroad line. But around World War II, train engines switched to diesel power, and the need to stop and refuel the train every 20 miles or so, well, it departed. In its height, Newburg had more than 1,000 residents. That's not big, but it is 3 times larger than roughly 300 people that are there now. While most of the people have left, the things they built are still here. Some of those things struggle to stay upright because, well, gravity is relentless while other things are well maintained. Mike and I discovered these details once we got out of the truck to look around. We saw the railroad ties, the weeds, the flowers, the windows, the signs, and the pavement that serve as Newburg's DNA. Like human DNA, these details convey information. For instance, across the street from the parking lot that seems to serve both bars and churches is the bust of a wolf. Driving through town, I had never noticed it before. Hung like a trophy mount about 6.5 feet off the ground, the wolf face is unusual because rather than being above a fireplace, it is just below an air conditioner. I love the color and the texture of the thing, but I had to wonder why. Why would someone paint this bust and hang it on Main Street? Well, Mentor Mike had a theory. Newburg still has a high school, and their mascot is the wolf, so perhaps it is community pride that got the wolf onto the front of a building. Community pride also, more than likely, possessed the residents to hang metal welcome signs from building facades and little metal trains from utility poles. The way the welcome signs were hung made it possible for them to sway and squeak in the breeze, sounding like saloon doors from a Western movie, doors that perhaps John Wayne or Jimmy Stewart would walk through. I also noticed that each utility pole train, at the tip of the cow catcher, has a little in-memory tag on it. This means that people want to be remembered in some small way. I like a town that honors its history as well as its citizens. As Mentor Mike and I strolled down Main Street during the golden hour, I couldn't help but to notice the brickwork. At some point, the people wanted to create a permanence to this town, and they must have had a little money. Sure, the 3 little pigs story teaches us that brick does better against a wolf than straw or sticks, but what the story fails to teach kids is that it takes money to build with brick. It also takes money to maintain brick over time. So, Some of the grout work that I found looked like it had already been redone, well, at least once. With a little more time and rainwater, the grout might dissolve just enough so that gravity will finally pull the bricks to the ground. For me, this repointing of the brickwork represents a little battle between residents and Mother Nature. Unfortunately for all cities and towns and even us, Nature never takes a day off, ever. While most of the bricks look common, some look like ceramic tiles, which I guess would cost even more than a run-of-the-mill brick. I also noticed that some of the windows and doorways were arched. Again, marks of a people that cared about aesthetics. If you want simple and functional, you build in squares or rectangles. But if you want to make windows and doorways larger than normal, then you'd best be thinking about arches which can support more weight. In this day of energy efficiency, I also think far more than I should about windows. Most of the glass windows Mike and I passed seem thin, old. I'm not sure how they would keep out noise or cold. Further, even if the brick looked good, the windows were built into wooden rather than vinyl frames. Wood rots unless you can keep the sun and rain off of it with paint. And paint costs money. And it costs someone time and skill to maintain the sills. Yes, the people are trying to keep their town somehow intact. Mike and I noticed trellises, white picket fences, beautiful flower beds. But we also noticed faded signs that had been the same place for so long that they had lost their base color. In the way, the faded stop sign at the town's main intersection made me sad. Yes, it was fun to photograph a starburst around it, but the sign was more pink than red. Its shape, rather than its color, is what gave away its meaning. Stop. I also found it sad that it probably had nothing to stop. With only 300 people in town, each person probably knows where they're going and when and who they will meet once there. Other than for an outsider like myself, why command people to stop? But there is something beautiful about a town where City Hall doubles as the library. A town that attempts to put on plays and concerts in its lyric opera building. A town that you can ride your bike down Main Street and not get run over. A town that has benches, which may have been old church pews, outside of its restaurants. A town where people can meet at the intersection, one a pedestrian, the other in a car, and talk for 15 minutes without bothering the flow of traffic. I had seen this town many times, but I had never noticed it. Carrying our cameras forced both Mike and I to slow down, observe, and think about what we were shooting. The town, once a baby grand of a town, can probably be better compared to a player piano, one of those things that plays old-timey saloon music without the benefit of an actual piano player. Player pianos are out of tune, nostalgic, and take up a ton of room in the house. People who have them don't quite know what to do with them, as their glory days are well past, being replaced by all sorts of things that can play music. But I'm rooting for Newburg because, as a bit of pride still lines the streets, maybe some benefactor will stop along its rail tracks and see a possibility of rebirth. In the meantime, Newburg, Missouri is a town that can teach you to observe rather than to see. Thank you very much for watching and listening. If you like this video, I encourage you to hit the like, subscribe, and share buttons, all of which are free to do. If you have places that you think Mentor Mike and I should visit to photograph and to write about, drop the town names in the comments. It would also be helpful if you know of a cafe that we can go to, as I must keep my flesh up. If you enjoyed the images, please visit our website, which I have linked in the description below. Mike and I are each award-winning, published photographers, and you might find some images you wish to download. Finally, I would like to thank Aperture Threads for their donation to the Mo Ozark Photo Guys. If you're looking for cool tees that announce your dedication to photography, visit Aperture Threads. They have dozens upon dozens of options, and if they have a size that fits me, which they do, they will have a size that fits you. Until next time, keep the lid on the deck tall and zoom with your feet. See? Zoom with your feet. They have a shirt at Aperture Threads. That's what it says. And they got feet right there. Look at that. So, cool.